Members for letting me speak. I'm David Preziosi with Preservation Dallas, and we are greatly disheartened by the current demolition underway at Main and Elm Streets by the Headington companies. All of the buildings were important historic buildings for Dallas and were listed as contributing structures in the Dallas Downtown National Register Historic District. Their integrity and character contributed greatly to the district, and they're a part of Dallas's early 20th century commercial history. The demolitions occurred without any opportunity for public discourse or conversation with City of Dallas preservation staff, local citizens, or Preservation Dallas. Buildings help define a city, but people do as well, and they should have the right to know about the removal of significant historic buildings and what it is to go in their place. In this case, there was no chance to explore redevelopment options. We know from successful rehabilitation projects all over the city that there could have been a successful solution to meet both preservation needs and new development goals. Moving forward, we would like to collaborate with the City of Dallas to better protect the remaining historic resources left in downtown, especially those in the National Register Historic District. There are many ways that we can work to protect the remaining downtown historic buildings, such as individually designating historic buildings listed on the National Register, overlaying a City of Dallas landmark district on the Dallas Downtown National Register District, flagging properties with historic significance so that there is some level of review by the preservation staff before issuing a demolition permit, using the city economic development incentives to place a priority on rehabilitating historic properties over demolition and new construction. We would ask that the City of Dallas consider placing a moratorium on demolition of historic buildings over 50 years old in downtown for at least 6 months. This will give the city an opportunity to engage citizens about the future of Dallas's historic resources. And Preservation Dallas would be happy to lead this effort. If we are to be a world-class city, Dallas must honor the unique architecture that enabled Dallas's growth and prosperity. We must follow the path of great American cities like New York, Chicago, Boston, San Francisco, and more, who protect their historic landmarks because they know these buildings contribute to the culture of the city and make it a more desirable place for people to live, work, and visit. We must aspire to more than demolishing buildings simply because they are old, and find ways to incorporate and reuse what our forefathers built with great craftsmanship and skill, which has laid the groundwork for downtown Dallas as we know it today. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to respond to that, and sir, I really appreciate you coming down to do that. And while my district does not cover downtown, really we're affected all over Dallas. And I don't know when we're going to get real in Dallas to take care of our past history. Our neighbor to the west, Fort Worth, has always been much more progressive in this given area. I'm all about property rights and giving people a right to say how to use their property, but I just think there ought to be a better way for us to preserve some of our history. I was very dismayed the other day to see that 129-year-old building come tumbling down. That goes back to 1885. You know, folks, we just don't have that many buildings from that era, and we need to preserve those that we can. And I just think we can develop a better strategy, a mutual win-win strategy on this. Again, not taking property owners' rights away, but just see and investigate and try to prioritize some of those to see if there might be an alternative. Now, what I'm not for, so I'll be clear, is a perpetual issue like we've had at Crozier Tech. I just believe something ought to be done or that building ought to come down. I'm tired of waiting on Crozier Tech. My mother even attended there briefly, but still we've tried and tried and tried and tried, and I think we tried again to get something done on Crozier Tech, and I think now we're beginning to get that done. But we don't want this to become just a thorn in the side of Dallas and be an impediment to progress. But still, where we can save these buildings, I think we ought to make every effort to do that. And I hope that we'll reach out to you and your organization and others like you to do that. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Your final speaker this afternoon is Darren Jefferson. Not present. No further speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, before I move to adjourn, which I am going to, I want to remind all people of faith that we begin at sundown the Jewish celebration of Rosh Hashanah, and I encourage people of all faiths, learn what that means, but be in solidarity with our Jewish brothers and sisters as they begin this celebration. I move to adjourn.
And before you that, Ms. thank you for bringing up. None we generally finish up at 2 o'clock on that day. Yeah.
Adjourn at 2:46.
Approved. Meeting adjourned at 2:40. Meeting adjourned at 2:47.